two, one. Excuse me. Hello and welcome to the Friendship News Hour presented to you by Bobber Media. Today is May the 9th, 2023. His name is Frank. My name is Frank. His name is Alex. Hello, Alex or Frank. What's up, man?
I'm Brian Pantana. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, man. Took the kid swimming today. That was fun. He's getting better. That's
Nice.
encouraging.
Nice.
Yeah, man.
Raising
He's
a fish.
walking,
I love it.
dude, and he's walking now. It's like leaps and bounds, dude. He's starting to like say more words. It kind of just went from like a to like, oh, you're becoming a thing. That's awesome. It's great.
Milestones. Gotta love it, man.
Yeah, but now it's nonstop
Gotta love
chasing
it.
him everywhere all the time.
Yeah.
So that's a
Yeah.
thing too.
Camila just became a baby that is no longer safe to put down in one area and
Oh,
not pay attention 24/7, 365.
moving around a little bit.
Oh yeah, he's moving and
Oh,
grooving.
baby, nice, dude.
Yeah, I
That's
suppose.
awesome. Where are you at today? That's not your
it's a
normal room.
it's a double-edged sword. No, it is not. I am in right now. I'm in Richmond, California, which is northern East Bay area.
Sad day for those guys, man. Lost a big game last night to the Lakers.
Oh yeah, man! What a wild finish. I actually watched that basketball game. I think it was the only basketball game I've watched all year.
Dude, it's getting some of the highest ratings that they've had in years, like in general
Really?
for a series. Yeah, man. Getting a lot. I mean,
How about?
LeBron and Steph, like it's their two pretty much premier like players as far as
Oh yeah.
games go in the league. So
How about that kid? I don't even. I already don't remember his name, but he blew up in the fourth quarter.
Lonnie Walker, man. Yeah, he's a beast, dude. He's a beast. And they needed him too.
Looks like it.
Young legs, and they're kind of an older roster. So,
oh, dude, LeBron looks so tired this year. I could just see it, man.
But he's still probably the second best player in the entire series, which is very impressive at 38. I got to give it to the man.
I think anybody who plays like 45 minutes in a playoff basketball game is going to be exhausted, but he was tired, bro. Yeah, right. I remember I don't know if it was his. Yeah, it was. It was late in the fourth quarter, and he tried some like kind of ridiculous shot. He was right in the key, and he like did a little fadeaway and tried to like put it up over somebody, and it missed. Mm-hmm. And you could just see like everything in his body just goes, oh, deflation. And he had to like, yeah, dude, he had to like get every ounce of energy in his body to run back down court. It was hilarious. But not, I mean, it was a great game, and kudos to the Lakers, man. They pulled it out.
Yeah, they did. I'm very excited. I'm nervous though, because if there's one team that you can't ever count out, it's them, or really a player or players and Steph and Clay, and it's like LeBron did it to them, and I feel like Steph, that's not something you forget, man. So I mean, Steph could go off for fucking 60 points next game, easy. Like I'm still not convinced the Lakers are going to win the series, but we'll see. It's been good playoffs all around. I'm as an NBA fan, I've been very happy with what I'm seeing on the court.
Yeah, it's been relatively even keel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I feel like there's not been like a ton of like there's been blowouts, but the series have not been blowouts. If that makes sense.
Yeah, for
like
sure.
The Lakers got destroyed 2 games ago. Like the Lakers look like they shouldn't even belong in the playoffs 2 games ago, and then they just went back-to-back games.
Yeah, right. Then they did the same thing to the Warriors. They blew them up by 30 the next game. Mm-hmm. It's nuts. But it is interesting though, because the two like everyone talks shit about that bubble and how those championships don't count, but both Miami and the Lakers are up 3-1 in their series right now. So quality basketball can be played, and it's a lot of the same guys.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, no, 100%. This is my stance on anybody who is like LeBron or even Steph and is currently playing at a high level. So long as greatness is there, I hope it wins the day. I hope he or Steph or whoever just adds on and makes the next pinnacle of basketball that much harder to reach. I love to see it.
Mm-hmm.
Big fan. Love to see it. We could take this any number of directions.
Oh, take me in the most sexual direction first. I want to get right to it.
All right. Okay. I will do that. I'm glad you said that. I have something. I'm gonna present a idea And fair warning, this idea is not fully baked. But it's something that I heard and I thought it was very interesting. It resonated with me, and I think it would resonate with just about anybody. And so I wanted to share it. And the idea has to do with mindsets.
Okay.
Another way to think of this is worldviews, right? I'm wearing these glasses. These glasses filter my shitty vision, make my vision better. You can think of this in a way that anybody sees the world in a particular view. And the way that it was presented to me was 4 worldviews, but I'll even dumb it down and make it 3 worldviews. The worldviews are achiever, traditionalist, and progressive. Okay.
Okay.
So run with me here on achiever, right? You have somebody who is climbing the corporate ladder, entrepreneur, successful financially, provides jobs, right? Makes the economy better, hopefully develops a product that makes people's lives easier, better. People find value in it and they want to buy it, the product or service. And these are the good things about this achiever, this person who wears the achiever worldview. There's also, the way that was described to me was that is the light of the achiever. The achiever's light are these good things, and the light casts a shadow, and there's also a shadowy aspect to the achiever. The shadowy aspect to the achiever could be that they are greedy, that they participate in cronyism, that they may not be very good stewards of the climate or the earth, and that they are an achiever so much that they disregard other things that may hurt or injure other people. All right, so that's achiever. And then you have traditionalist. And traditionalist is somebody who values family and faith. Basically, take a drive from Chicago, Illinois to Toledo, Ohio, and stop off on any exit and knock on the door, and you'll find a traditionalist, right? And these people are also emitters of light, right? They find their value in the family. They want to raise a solid family. They are hardworking people. They most likely are involved in the community and their church, and there's a lot of light that emits from these people, but there's also a shadow, and a shadow could be that they have racist tendencies, or that they may not agree with anything that has to do with the LGBTQ community, or that they're willing to believe in pseudoscience or anti-science, and they're easily swayed by very highly politically charged comments on very highly politically charged concepts. And then you have the progressives. And your progressive would be somebody who's willing to go to bat for planet Earth. And they're willing to stand up for marginalized communities. And they're willing to be the steward and show up for those who traditionally been oppressed and have had maybe not the best stroke of luck in life. And then again, a shadow emits from that light where maybe they're a little bit more willing to cancel somebody or censor somebody based off of something that they don't like to hear. Maybe they are much more willing to dismiss somebody because they don't agree with their worldview, and perhaps even willing to ruin somebody's career or even take it down because of something they've done in the past. And the whole idea here is that between the shadow and the light, there's a human being. And it's important for all of us, and I will be the first to admit that I have been an offender of this idea, to not forget that the human being exists in between the light and the dark. And that if we see the person for only the shadow with which that they participate and not the light as well, we are more easily to dismiss them altogether. And that is really where the division is created socially. Is that you see somebody who might be a traditionalist, and maybe you know them, maybe you don't, but your mind is made up about that person because of the shadow that they emit and not the light. And because of the shadow, you're willing to dismiss this together not only just this person, but everybody who might share a like mindset as this person, and forgetting that there is indeed a human being behind that person. So rant over. I will step off my soapbox, and I want to try and relate this to what's going on in the news. And I think the most pressing thing, this protest that's going on about Jordan Neely, I believe his name is, in New York.
No idea what that's about. What? Yeah, tell me.
Jordan Neely, the man who was choked to death on the New York subway by an ex-Marine. Are you not? You're not familiar with
No.
this at all? No, that's see, and that's really interesting because I feel like I feel like maybe this this whole protest is sort of ginned up a little bit to stoke racial flames. There was a man named Jordan Neely who was bothering people on the subway, and an ex-Marine stepped in to take control of the situation. He put him in a chokehold. He brought him down to the ground. Jordan Neely went unconscious. They propped him up into the support position or whatever position you're supposed to prop somebody up so they don't choke on their own spit. It looked like he was still breathing. It looked like he was making movements with his chest that were still breathing. He ended up dying. And then we come to find out that he's a career criminal, kind of schizophrenic, really had a bad rap sheet, may have had, may have had a rough life, and that led to everything that's going on with him. But nonetheless, he was killed in this altercation, and now people are calling it a lynching, saying that it's racially motivated. It's not a crime to be a homeless person. The mental health system has failed Jordan Neely. Pick your choice of things. Yeah, but there's actual protests going on. I mean, I'll show you actually right here. There's actually an interesting video I saw on Twitter. Hold on a second.
Man, as you're describing it, it just makes me think of like I'm getting George Floyd comparisons in my head a little bit.
Yeah. I think that's an accurate comparison. Can you see this?
Yep.
Okay.
Get out of her face! Get out of her face! Get out of her face!
That's the gentleman right there.
No, this is a protest. For context, there is a gentleman who's poking his head from inside the train to outside the train, trying to plead with cops to let the protesters, to get the protesters away so he can catch a train to go to work.
Bro, you hurting her right now. I'm not touching you.
As you can see, they're trying to compel him to get off the train so that they can continue their protest. I don't know why they don't want it to leave, but they're protesting the death of Jordan Neely. And yeah, man, it kind of coinciding with what it saddens me that this has to boil down to something like race, like this was this happened because this man happened to be black or making any ties to anybody's race, or the fact that the guy that happened to and ever since this has come out, Twitter, as it's prone to do, has different memes and stats and facts that are trying to sway opinion from one side to the other. And I really have no interest in delving into any of that. I think oops, I didn't know I was still sharing the screen. I think that if we are to move past this and to rise above this fracas. It can't be so binary of a thing. It can't be that this happened because this guy was black or it was it also can't be that like we are flippant with how we choose to interact with the world. And I'm not saying this guy was flippant to subdue Jordan Neely. As a matter of fact, in my heart of hearts, is think about this and where I think, well, like, that guy, I'm sure there's a lot of people on that train who probably congratulated him because they didn't feel safe around this guy. And maybe that's not his fault, but the conversation, the muck is we're just playing in the mud here. We're little children and taking sides, and it just, this whole thing just kind of just reeks of amateurism, and it seems like we're being redirected into an area that we shouldn't be in.
Yeah, I actually just found a video. Have you seen the video online of the?
I have seen the video. If you want to show it, go for it. I didn't have any intention to, but
I'll show it. I mean, warning, it's a little bit of distressing content. I don't need to go all the way to the end, but it's interesting to see because let me just pull it up here. What I'm seeing just on first glance is the first time I've seen this video, to be honest with you. But if you're watching it here, you see not only this gentleman, the Marine, strangling him, but you also see 2 and 3 other guys, trying to put his arms in. And I would think, and there's no video of before of what happened that I'm finding online right now, but I would think that if you have multiple people, not just one guy, obviously he's the guy who put him in the chokehold and cut his oxygen, but you have multiple people stepping in to subdue this dude. I would think that like this guy was probably doing something pretty fucking wild that people were like, all right, hold on, we need to, step in here and stop this guy, So it sucks that we don't have a full video. It's not like we have like body cam footage since it was like a police incident or anything like that. But I would have to side probably with the passengers that are, he must have been doing something for this many people to like stop this guy, Just
yeah,
as an observer, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that video is the same one. There's a fuller version that came out but after it happened, and the other guy that was trying to help him subdue him, he's kind of saying thank you for for doing this, like pretty much just like being grateful that this guy stepped in and did it, because it looks like if that guy didn't step in to do anything, nobody else probably would have either. Then I think the question becomes when do you engage with somebody who's pretty obviously homeless, pretty obviously like not in a state of mind that is cordial to polite society. I think and so the question becomes, when do you engage? I actually had a small conversation with somebody on Twitter about this, and I think you engage when you feel like your life is threatened, or anyone in your family is threatened, and if you engage in that, to me, I feel like the social contract there is that you have invited whatever reaction has brought upon you. Now, whether or not the law declares that that's illegal or not, that's a different story. And I really hope this guy doesn't get charged for murder. It looks like he might. But then the question becomes, so what do we do now? How do we engage going forward? How do we engage societally with the influx of erratic, mentally unstable people who are dwelling on the street, maybe no fault of their own? But I think there's a difference between somebody who's homeless and then somebody like Jordan Neely. If you're and you can get some sort of support in the short term that helps you get on your feet and move forward, that's one thing. If you're Jordan Neely, that's a whole other thing. I mean, this guy's sheet is like 40 counts long. I mean, he's been in trouble with the law like more times than we can even go over right now. And if you ask me, truthfully, honestly, I think the only solution is the solution that we were presented by Sam Quinones, about a year and a half ago, that you engage and you enforce every drug law on the books, and you take these people in and you redirect punishment from prison to lockdown sober living, mandatory, 90 days minimum mandatory. And maybe you don't solve every problem, but what you do is you get them clean, and their access to drugs. There's no, like, mental health system needs to be more robust. Yes, agreed. But to me, it seems like if you had all of the support in the world to help this gentleman, Jordan Neely, there's no guarantee that he's ever going to accept it.
For
And
sure. Well, and
that's
especially
where,
in the moment, man. Like, and I'm sure you've had your fair share of experiences too. But like, I've had plenty of times in the city where you got homeless people on the CTA that come out. I mean, half the CTA trains just stink like piss anyway. I've seen people take tons of pisses on trains and do all kinds of crazy shit, make people wildly uncomfortable. And I got to imagine at a point, it's never happened to me where I thought, I'm getting to get physical, but I can imagine a scenario where that would happen. Absolutely, man. And I mean, it sounds like this guy was just trying to like subdue, didn't mean to do what happened. I don't think it was racially motivated at all, just like from what I'm hearing and kind of quickly reading on the internet and all this other stuff. If it comes out that this dude, is like a Klan member or like has deep racial, like if we see more motivations as we learn more about the Marine Daniel Penny, like then maybe it could be a hate crime, and there's something to be said for that. But like to just automatically go to that just because it's a white dude choking a black dude, and just disregard all other facts, it's like that's just driving the wedge like people love to do now. And as we near an election, it's going to get even worse. Like it's sucks,
yeah,
man.
yeah, and ever since this idea of mindsets and these different worldviews, these buckets that you could put people in, ever since the idea has been, uh, it's now very easy for me to see how this kind of stuff works, right? I don't pretend to know that there's power that be that are puppet masters up top or anything like that, but it's interesting that this happens, and then immediately after there's like a racial component to it that's been amplified, and then because of that racial component that's been amplified, there's like an that's being amplified on the other side. So it's like this was racially motivated, and then it's like, well, if you look at this statistic and this statistic and that statistic, you'll see that your idea of how racially motivated crimes happen in America, they don't exist the way you think. It doesn't do anything but help somebody who believes that, because the people on the other side are going to hear that, they're going to get more triggered and be like, fuck you, like I'm not being heard by you. So like anything that you're going to tell me means nothing because you're not understanding me, you're combating me. And it's just like this all the time.
Mm-hmm.
All the time. So, maybe this is common sense to people, or has been clear to a lot of folks for a long time, but I think the only way forward is really truly just understanding. And you could be somebody who believes that this was racially motivated and that they're lynching black people and all that, and I'm willing to listen, and I'm willing to disagree, but I'm certainly not willing to fight you because of the person that you are. To me, that means nothing, and it degrades the whole conversation.
For
So
sure. And then you add like social media to it, which takes like that person to person interaction out of it more because you're kind of hiding behind a keyboard. And
right,
it makes like how you're talking about progressives and traditionalists and achievers, and it focuses on the bad of that person, like you were saying, completely on social media. And that's like the battleground for all this shit. With I mean, obviously people are on the street protesting and all that, but all the gasoline gets poured on this fire on the internet, man, as it just keeps going and going and going. And that's probably like one of the biggest problems to all of this, you know, in my opinion, I would say.
Yeah,
But
I think there's a lot of truth to that. There's a
yeah,
lot of truth to that, and the way that you interact in social media, especially with something like Twitter, it's short. You don't have a lot of time to develop an opinion, so you have to be witty.
yeah, right.
You have to be very controversial because you have to garner attention in a short span. And I think that's
Yeah.
fine. Honestly, I mean, it really does bring a lot of interesting things. But if you can't handle that, if you can't see these things and not let it like burn a fire inside of you to where you have to combat it and just say like, okay, I understand where this guy's coming from. I know who he is. I know the shtick. I know the game he's playing. That's not my game. I'm going to walk away. I'm going to go over here. That then you know that's where it's like, yeah, no, maybe social media is not for you.
So back to the healthcare thing really quick before we jump. I was having this
Uh-huh.
conversation with someone, I think last week actually, and just kind of talking about states, I think like Washington, that have like decriminalized all drugs. And the idea is kind of like what Sam was telling us last year or whatever, that the idea is like try to rehabilitate these people one way or the other. Um, what do you think about that? Like, as far as is that the solution for someone who keeps, like, if you keep putting them into the system, they keep saying, you know, okay, fine, 90 days clean, go back on the street, we're right back in the same situation, then they're back in the rehab facility again, then they're back on the streets again doing it again, back in the rehab facility again. And at the end of the day, that's all like that state's taxpayers money. Like, I'm all for helping these people to a point.
Uh-huh.
Like, I think, like, yeah, so there need to be better steps taken to like help support these people, but like put in like a strike system. And then like after they've gone so far, then that's when you maybe would pursue like getting them thrown into jail or whatever, you know, if they've gone into these rehab facilities twice, and you know it's obviously not working. Why do I, as a sober person, you know, working my day job, hustling, just trying to make my ends meet, have to keep supporting this, for
Yeah.
lack of a better word, like dirtbag who just keeps saying, you know, taking advantage of the system, taking your 90 days of free stay or whatever it is. And, you know, on like, and some of these facilities are like still giving them like the meth or the heroin to kind of like wean them off of it. Why am I
Right.
supporting this addict's lifestyle who like doesn't care about their life at this point? Like, so in my head, I feel like a strike system would be the best way to do that. So we at least try to rehabilitate, you know, at least like 2 times, and after that, you like kind of toss them to the dogs, into the prison, like whatever. Is that? Do you see a better solution? That is that feasible?
No, I think you're spot on. I think you need to be able to pivot when you realize that something's not working. And I think a strike system allows that to happen quite well. It's no secret that there's a push in a lot of cities to release people from prison.
Which I mean, I mean, to a point,
Eh,
man. Like it's kind of been legal slavery for a long time, especially in like the black community, for the way
I
they're like
agree.
war on drugs.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'll listen to that argument for sure. But the thing is, when we see people who end up going on to commit an atrocity like murder or hurt somebody in a way that is so irreparable, and then we find out that they've been let out of jail or they should have been deported or this, that, and the other.
I'm
That's
referring
when
more
it's
to
like, okay,
nonviolent crimes. I agree with you there.
yeah, right. Yeah. Okay. Nonviolent crimes all day, but that's not what we're seeing. We're not
Hmm.
seeing that. We're seeing people released who have committed crimes that they should be in prison for.
For sure.
But then you look at somebody who's living on the street who maybe he's not committing a violent crime, but maybe some petty theft here or there. You know, not petty theft here or there. I mean, San Francisco. I don't know if you heard about all the store closings that have gone on in San Francisco as of late, but
Hmm.
like every single store that's in that on Market Street in San Francisco, that big shopping area, they pulled out. They're done. All of them. All of the big stores, they're done because of all the theft. Um, so like you incentivize theft, you don't put in anything that's going to have any repercussions. Somebody who's using drugs in the street, in the open, in front of everybody, and then living their life drug addict on the street. I think that you need to have something in place that helps these people recover. But yes, like you said, there has to be a limit to it. It can't be just like this never ending cycle where you can go in. But to that point, I think we need to try something different. And I think the love and the compassion that everybody's asking for, it needs to be more heavy-handed than most people are willing to accept. It needs to be enforced at a level that like, I don't want to hear about expanding caseworkers. And you kidding me? Jordan Neely, you think he's going to respond well to a caseworker? He's going to eat a caseworker alive because he doesn't give a fuck about a caseworker.
Yeah, and a lot of these people situation, like, hey buddy, let's get you to a rehab facility real quick. Why don't you just settle down? Like, that's not
suck my dick.
That situation, bro.
Yeah. That's exactly what's going to happen. Yeah. No, 100%. And so, like, you want to help these people? Fine. There's laws on the books that make drugs illegal. And let's talk about drug laws for a second, because consuming drug it's not a crime, but it's a sin. And so we're trying to combat sin with the law.
That'd be a traditional, or that'd be a traditionalist mindset right there.
Yeah. Right. Okay. So to me, I don't think there's something wrong with. I really don't think there's anything wrong with that. Where it goes wrong is in the response to the crime. You've done drugs, you now go to jail. Okay, well, we've tried that for decades and decades and decades and decades, and we know that it does not work. So it doesn't mean that you can still do drugs like that. It's not okay that you're shooting heroin, or you're taking fentanyl, or you're smoking meth on the street. That's not okay. That is not okay. That should not be allowed. That should not be legal. But the response to that should be, you, sir, cannot participate in your own life well enough to where you can't be doing drugs on the street. And that's a problem. And prison system can't fix that. So let's try something different. And that approach needs to be something that's a little bit more about caring for that person's overall well-being, not letting them out of, I honestly might be describing an insane asylum right now. I don't know. Maybe that's how the insane asylum started before they were taken down. But it needs to be something like that, where you're not allowed to re-enter society, but you're also shouldn't be sharing a cell with a rapist, right? Like you didn't do anything. But also you're not fit for society, and that needs to be the bar. The bar needs to be set right there, right? You're not fit for society if you're out on the street smoking meth in a tent, sucking a penis for $10 so you can go get your next score. That's not okay. That's not okay. But we've allowed it. The bar has been lowered to where that's been allowed because we feel sorry for these people, and they're a shadow of a progressive mindset right there. That is something that is that out of the compassion comes something that's an unintended consequence. So, and listen, this is tricky stuff, man. I don't have the answers. You don't have the answers, but I think some really honest talk about what's going on can help. And if you're willing to join that conversation, then great. I think that's good.
Do you think in your scenario of those three outlooks on life, there's crossover between them, between being progressive and achieving and traditionalist? Like, you think?
I think I inhabit the characteristics of each of those mindsets in different points of our life, and we encounter shadowy parts of that mindset as well. I remember, so I was telling this. I think I've said it before. I'm in this leadership group. This is where I was presented with this idea. And we have a email thread that we have different assignments. We have to go on and chat it out. And so started talking about these mindsets, and it really opened my eyes, because when I left college, like a lot of people, I was very much in a progressive mindset. And I saw how that didn't serve me. And I think now looking back in hindsight being 2020, I saw the shadowy aspects of a progressive mindset. And I saw how uninformed I was as a citizen, as an individual. And so I rejected it, completely rejected it, and inhabited this traditionalist achiever mindset, and I was strict about it. And I still saw the shadowy aspects of it, but I didn't care. I was willing to be ignorant about it because I thought I was on the right path, right? But in reality, that you shouldn't be, in my opinion, throwing it out altogether and rejecting it, but acknowledging that there's good in it, there's bad in it. See the good for the good, see the bad for the bad, and try not to let either of them trigger you, because that is what is where the division is in. So yeah, I inhabit a progressive mindset for a lot of things. I mean, I think you and I and almost everybody of our age is like pretty much like a classical liberal. Like, we don't really give a shit what anybody does, given that you're not hurting anybody, infringing on anybody's right to live a happy life, this, that, and the other. And yeah, so we can inhabit a progressive mindset, we can inhabit an achiever mindset, a traditionalist mindset, depending on the situation. And I think that fluidity is good, because we need to recognize that we're all in this together. It's all of us in this as one, and it's not a binary choice. You don't have to be this one thing, and you don't have to be the other. So yeah, I agree that we can be all of that. All right, let's lighten it up a little bit before we go back into some heavy stuff. We haven't talked about Bud Light at all, and I'm really happy that we haven't, because the story is developed. It's actually, dude, it's grown legs, and it's developed a mindset of its own. But what's crazy is that there's now tangible proof that Bud Light is hurting bad from this. They're down 23% year over year on Bud Light sales, and that's down from 21% a week ago. So if you ask me, I think it's all very silly, because it's silly on a bunch of different levels. Here's what Bud Light should have done. They should. You want to include Dylan Mulvaney. You want to include the transgender community into Bud Light and attract new customers. You have to be Bud Light about it. You have to go to something like, hey, Dylan Mulvaney, like, here's a can with your face on it, because you've been catching a lot of heat, and people have been saying a lot of about you, but you still smile and turn the other cheek. And we think that's some badass American shit, Dylan Mulvaney. Here's a can for you. Something along those lines.
Man of genius.
That's what they used to be, man. Yeah. Thank you. Yes. Play into it. Right?
That's copyrighted, but you can steal that.
Yeah. No. And you didn't need a freaking Wharton MBA for that either. It's a Point Loma MBA, brother. No, what did they do? They gave Dylan Mulvaney a can with her face on it for her 365th day of womanhood. Listen, you don't understand your customer base if that's what the fuck you're doing. It doesn't matter whether you agree with that or whether you don't. The women who would have drank Bud Light see that as a big backhand right across their face, because a lot of people don't agree with that, even if they're willing to allow this person to live in their truth without agitating them or announcing their displeasure about it. They may not like it, but they're going to go on with their day because it doesn't bother them. But what our good friend Mr. Rager told me today is the most truest thing I've heard about this whole saga, is that they've given people a reason not to drink Bud Light. And what Bud Light has forgotten, they've lost the plot on, is that their beer is not good. And there are good. So why would you give anybody a reason not to buy your shitty beer when all you have to sell them is shitty beer?
Yeah, all I'll say though is that I feel like on the other side of that, the reaction has been like kind of immature. Like, I saw videos of like Boston tea parties with Bud Light being poured over, and like,
so cringe, dude.
To me, it's like I don't know. I do see a difference, but I don't, for the sake of this argument, I don't see a difference between like putting her face on the side of a Bud Light can as opposed to putting like LeBron James's face on the side of one, because he's a very.
Are you saying you don't see a difference?
I do, but like, I'm just kind of trying to make an argument here. I'm grasping at straws, but I'm trying. Like,
yeah, I think so.
I don't think like her face was on every single can. like to the point where like I think you could have still gotten Bud Light without the can, like the face on it. Like
No, there was not more than one can.
it was so all Bud Light
It
that was
was the
being
one
purchased,
can. It was the one thing. It was just for her. Like it wasn't a.
it was
It
everything.
wasn't even like like a like a marketing ploy. It was just one thing.
Yeah. I so
That's all it was. So
I
yeah,
don't know,
the
man.
immature. It's like the most immature. Like Kid Rock's out there shooting Bud Light with an AR-15. It's the
It,
dumbest, cringiest shit ever. But here's the thing: they gave people a reason not to want to buy Bud Light.
well,
They
yeah,
gave people a reason not to want to buy it, and so people have taken that chance.
and I think it allowed people, whether it's good or bad, to like show that they don't like really. There's not as many people that care about it, as many people that are like offended or like just not into all of that. Like it kind of shone a light on that, and I think the response was a little bit immature, but like it kind of like drove home the point of like how small a percentage of people that really is, and like
Yeah, no,
to
for
really
sure.
like try to like showboat and act like you're like so great for doing this, and it's like, yeah, but like a lot of people like feel very like differently about a lot of these things, and especially when it comes to like sports and all these other. So it's interesting. It's an immature response, but I think it's a revealing one to like how a majority of people, I guess at least beer drinkers, feel about the whole transgender movement.
Yeah,
Good or bad, I don't
well,
know.
yeah, good or bad or different or otherwise. The justification for doing this was so that they can grow their customer base beyond like frat party, like fraternities and college kids. So let me get this straight. You thought that by doing you were going to collect a whole other pool of Bud Light customers, people who want to drink your shitty beer because you decided to give a can to somebody who's as in your face of a transgender person as there's ever been. And you think that this is going to garner you more customers. Like from a business perspective, like it just nothing about it makes any sense to me why you think this was a good idea. Obviously it's going to be polarized. Like how do you not know who your customer base is, and where do you find all these new customers that want to drink shit Bud Light? Like it doesn't make sense to me. Like you have to know what your product is, and you have to know what your customer base is. And obviously this person who worth half her salary, if not that, didn't know either of those things and made the biggest blunder in Bud Light and Anheuser-Busch history. And dude, I don't see this going away anytime soon.
Yeah, it's gonna be hard to bounce back from, man. I don't even know what they're gonna do. If like I could even see them coming out with like a new light beer just to fucking
Yeah,
close
right,
that
exactly.
chapter. I really could, man. I don't know how you come
Yeah,
back from it because that lady
yeah,
got
I don't
fired,
know
right?
either.
Or she was put on leave, I know,
Oh,
but she
yeah,
got fired.
no, she's gone. She's
Okay,
gone.
yeah.
Yeah, she's gone.
Mm.
But like the gravity of that mistake, 24% year over year, because because you because you gave a can to somebody you shouldn't have. Like
Hmm.
I don't know,
It's
it's
almost
crazy.
guaranteed that she'll be hired soon, though, by like CNN or somebody. I guarantee it.
Maybe, I guess. I don't know. I don't know. That's your Wharton MBA for you.
Yeah.
Um, so I posed a question. Hold on a second.
Brief intermission.
Yeah, I'm gonna need to have a drink for this one. Well, we posed a question on Facebook. If you think, or if you support any drug law or any gun law, any restrictive gun law, as you may or may not know, there was just a really, really horrible shooting over the weekend. I mean, they're all horrible shootings, but this one was just the worst. And it would seem to me that if there is not, it would seem to me that the conservative movement in America cannot stand behind the Second Amendment anymore. It's not going to work. I am as pro 2A as anybody. I believe in its right. If you want to go buy a machine gun, buy a machine gun. If you want to go buy an AR, buy the AR. I think everybody should be able to do that. I don't believe that the problem of what we're seeing, the constant carnage in America, is because of guns. Bad people are going to do bad things always. I think it is much deeper than that. But I think if conservatives don't come to the realization that one day, very soon, they are going to be in a position where they're not in power almost at all. And there's going to be the ability to pass some very restrictive gun laws that will be just not good, like at all. And I can go down the list of why restricting gun laws is not good for anybody outside of the context of random killings. But I won't do that right now. My question is, what is it that we can do right now to meet at the table to negotiate something that restricts the access to guns for folks like the guy who shot up the mall in Texas this past weekend? What do you think?
Man, dude, you're asking the wrong person. I don't know, man. I don't know. I feel like there's going to have to be some ground given by the people that own guns if we're trying to do this meet in the middle happy thing. And the first thing would probably be assault rifles is to ban them. But like you said, the people that want to do damage are going to do damage, man. And then like
no, that's off the table.
Yeah, and then a part of that too. It's like, okay, if we're banning assault rifles, then like we're going to have to ban them for police, for the people that are guarding like our heads of state and like our just politicians in general, because like why is that person's life worth any more than mine in the ability to protect themselves, like
Right.
that
Yeah,
would
so-
be the
so
very
the-
first argument I would think of if you're going to ban assault
Sure.
rifles, is then we got to get them out of the hands of all of these people, because why should they have something that's so superior to mine? I don't know, dude.
And I think
really
that's the
don't know.
spirit. That's the spirit that the Second Amendment was developed under. That there
Exactly.
cannot be a monopoly on power, on military might. There cannot be a monopoly on that.
If I had people trying to escape tyranny, like then you would just put all the guns into the people that if they wanted to enforce tyranny could very easily.
Right. No, exactly. Look at Mexico. There's no crime down there. They have the most restrictive gun laws ever.
Yeah. Right.
So I've heard some ideas. I think one that really makes sense to me is that there's like a 90-day period of training that's necessary in order for you to purchase anything that is more powerful than a Desert Eagle, right? I don't know how you would classify how that works, but if you think about any other thing in America that you have the right to do, you need a license to drive. I can't hop into a Class 8 truck and drive it. I don't have the classifications for that. I'm not able to do it. And it would seem to me that if you were able to meet in the middle in that way and take seriously what it means to be a responsible gun owner, I think you'll be able to start getting some traction on your side on that. Because like you said, man, there's no room for negotiation on banning weapons. I mean, like, what are you going to do? Pause gun sales? Like, that's not going to do much, right? But the guy who shot up the mall this weekend, he was flaunting that he got these weapons, and it was so easy. Put pictures up on social media, the weapons he used to kill, and look, something's got to give. Something's going to give, and if you are a defender of the Second Amendment and you believe that it should be in place, I don't own a gun, Al, and I may never own a gun, but I believe in the Second Amendment because I love the fact that millions of other people own a gun. That makes me feel better because that means that I am not under tyranny of somebody who has the guns, because everybody has the guns. That's important. That we cannot lose sight of that. not even for the tragedies that are happening. I mean, like, dude, there was a kid who survived this shooting. He got released from the hospital. He was like 4 years old to learn that his dad, his mom, and his brother got killed.
Mm.
And those kind of headlines sustain. It's not gonna make it. And people are gonna see those, and people who are may have previously thought the way that I thought, who now have kids and live in suburban Dallas, Texas, like, I'm willing to listen to that argument because I want to go shop at Burlington Coat Factory and not have my family get blown away. And that's what I'm seeing right now.
Yeah, dude, it's so hard. I just looked up a survey here from the Office of Justice Programs.gov, and they cite that over half over or about half of American households own guns. You know, so that's 150. I don't know. I don't want to say 150 million gun owners, but you know, half of the people in America, their home is protected by a gun. And yeah, these are happening more and more frequently, man. But just by getting rid of an assault rifle doesn't, and I know it's an argument made all the time. You kind of just said it doesn't stop bad people from doing bad things. You're going to see, yeah, you'll see a great drop off in gun crimes, but then you're going to see more bombs. You know what I'm saying? And a bomb's going to take out 60 people. People that want to inflict damage are going to find any fucking way they want to do that, whether it's poisoning a food supply, a bomb, just nameless things, bro. Like it's gonna happen. So the issue is not guns. It's so not assault rifles, in my opinion, man.
Okay, well, I'm glad that you and I are on the same page. I don't believe the issue is guns either. I think it's really, I think the issue is not even, this is a sickness of the soul.
Yeah.
This is the sickness of the heart. There's something so much deeper going on. Mental illness doesn't explain away what happened on Saturday. But what I'm saying is, even though we are in agreement of that, that's not good enough. And there's going to need to be some concessions made. And I think we need to get ahead of it because, believe it or not, that's not a politically popular position. And political power is now being consolidated in major metropolitan areas where this stuff happens. This doesn't happen in rural America. I mean, not for the most part. It does, but it doesn't really. And so if you know that you can pretty much count on like any major metropolitan area in America becoming a blue area, voting in a direction that in the future, if there is policy that's put in place that is going to heavily restrict firearm usage, that is more likely to be accepted by America than it isn't. And what I'm saying is we need to cut that off right now and come to the table and negotiate and find a way to, and I don't want to be the do something guy, but we have to do something. There really has to be something done. There has to be some concessions made, and we have to make it a little bit harder, just a little bit harder to.
So that would be the major concession is more training in your mind, like very thorough training.
I mean, shoot, that's not even a yeah. Why that's a concession, I don't know. I really don't know. I think I think robust training and you create an entire industry where people get trained, just like the DMV, but it's not state run, where you learn how to operate, clean, safely store, and protect others from danger with a firearm. And will people fall through the cracks? Absolutely. But here's what it means. It means that somebody who's a little bit fucked up, whose heart is blood, and whose soul is corrupted from being a otherwise non-criminal, going and just picking up a gun and having to go through the steps to actually get this gun. And if they're really that determined to hurt people and they really want to do it, well, then we'll see. Right. And then maybe I'm wrong. And maybe this continues in a way that is unacceptable. And then who knows?
I think it gets worse and bigger, man. I really do. A bomb is way more lethal and deadly to people.
But do you get what I'm saying? Like,
can be than an assault rifle.
Like a bomb is so intentional.
Yeah, but carrying an AR-15 into a school or whatever is
Is
very
it?
intentional
Is it?
too.
I
think so?
really don't think so, man. I think it's
That's not
such an easy
premeditated
way
at all?
for. No. I'm not saying it's not premeditated. I'm saying for somebody who has made the decision in their head that their life is not worth living and that their suffering is so great that nothing matters, and that I'm so angry inside that I'm going to take as many people down with me as possible, right? That's way easier to go and commit destruction and damage and carnage, if you can, in a day or two, go pick up what is a very powerful, incredibly lethal
Sure.
weapon.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah, right. But somebody, and like, some of these people have manifestos or whatever. Like, I don't care. You're fucked in the head. I don't care what you have to. None of that matters, and it should never matter. But somebody who's willing to like research a bomb and do these kind of things, like, yeah, that stuff's still going to happen. I think there's no indication that tells me that it's not going to continue to happen. But in that way, I think it's a lot harder to complete that task, right? We have ways of looking at people who want to uh, create a bomb, right? We have ways of figuring out who's trying to do that, and other methods of trying to inflict harm on somebody. But if you can just go and get a gun,
Right.
that to me, like, yeah, there should be a little bit of a block there, slightly. And then let's say you go through with it, and then you get to get training, maybe you meet somebody. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a social aspect to it, and you really have to be dedicated to it to go through with it. And maybe over time, those feelings, like, who knows, man? But just that simple step that puts you in between that. And to be quite honest with you, even if this wasn't happening, I think that's like sensible, that you should know how to respect something so
Lethal.
so dangerous and
Yeah.
that wields so much power. I think it's and that's where it needs to be. And we need to meet in the middle here and gain some ground, and then rise above the fray and move forward together. Something that we're accomplishing, because talk to ban weapons, or just residing in a camp that says it's the guns, or residing in a camp that says people kill people, not guns. Like, all right, got to give a little bit.
Yeah. Well, Donald Trump's going to be giving a little bit of money to somebody.
Oh yeah, who now?
Did you see today he was found guilty by a civil jury for sexual abuse and defamation against E. Jean Carroll, who was also alleging rape in this situation for something that happened back in the 90s. But he's now going to have to pay her $5 million as of this afternoon.
And
Interesting.
He sexually assaulted her?
Yeah, apparently, I'm trying to find the exact details. He was at an apartment store. I think he like came up behind her and like kind of groped her and was, real, just probably just being a typical, white millionaire guy, I guess. I don't know, and like the way that the media paints them, but I'm trying to find exactly what he did, but he was found guilty. So apparently, she was trying to get him for rape, which would have been like the biggest one, and if found guilty of rape, I think he wouldn't have been able to become president because it would have been like a felony.
You can be president as a felon.
Can you?
Oh yeah. And I will push back on your claims of white millionaire behavior. That sounds like Jackson Mahomes, dude.
Dude, yes. Well, yeah, that's just the brother of a pretty much white millionaire. Might as well be. That's the most light-skinned dude I've ever seen in my life.
Man, how do we get here? The two presidents for president, the oldest they've ever been. They're embroiled in controversy and legal battles, and he just has to pay. He has to pay millions of dollars for groping somebody. What the fuck, man? How did we get here?
I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know. Yeah, if it wasn't Trump, I don't think they would have been paying out $5 million if someone just groped somebody in a department store. But it was Trump, so it's official. He will be paying her the money. But yeah, I
Goodness
totally agree with
gracious.
you. I think an age limit would help a lot of problems as far as that's concerned. Is with like Mr. Joey Biden, man. If we just put an age limit to that office, I think that helps a lot of like the dementia setting in and in most people that would be president. I don't know what you do to stop someone like Trump getting in there because I mean, you could say he's a dirtbag, but he
Yeah.
hasn't shown signs of like the mental deterioration. And I mean, in my opinion, he was doing much better than Biden's doing right now for sure.
You know
Absolutely.
who's who I'm intrigued by?
Kennedy
Uh,
Jr.
oh yes.
Yeah, man. If his voice was better, that's going to be tough to get through. The whole like election circuit and debates with. Yeah, I think he had
Throw
like
with his voice.
Have you never heard him speak before? He speaks
Uh,
like this.
oh really?
Yeah, he had some kind of like some kind of problem with his vocal cords or something like that, and it had recently had surgery, and I guess it's getting better. Um, but yeah, he
He's polling at 20%, and they're not doing any
is he?
debates.
Yeah, of
Yeah,
course they're not doing
20%.
any
That's
debate.
huge.
They'd rip him up in a
That's
debate,
huge.
probably. That is huge. That's
He's
a big
been
chunk, man. That's the Bernie Sanders to Hillary Clinton right there.
he's he's claiming publicly that the CIA killed his uncle John Kennedy.
Yeah, and maybe had something to do with his dad's death as well.
Jesse Kelly quote tweeted that claim, and he goes, completely ridiculous. It's not like the CIA had a working relationship with the mafia because of their joint efforts to assassinate Castro, and it's not like Jack Ruby's real name is Jack Rubinsky, who spent time as an enforcer for Meyer Lansky's Jewish mafia. Like obviously it's true. Like I haven't looked into any of this stuff, but yeah, man, I don't know anything about it, and I know that that's true.
Yeah.
I just know that that's true. I don't know why I know that's true. Why do I know that's true, Al? Why do I believe that so strongly in my core, in my fiber? I believe that.
Because they don't give a fuck about us, Frank.
Yeah, that's probably true, man. It's not probably true. It's definitely true.
Definitely true. It should be
They
shirts.
do not care about you.
Oh, well, I think that's all the time we have, my friend. You probably have to like some kind of dinner.
I
to
think
get
we've
to out
thoroughly
there.
depressed our audience.
I know this is a heavy episode. I'm sorry, guys.
It was, man. It was. It's terribly heavy.
Oh, but a lot going on, and we don't shy away from the tough topics. I pride ourselves on that. So
True that, sir.
maybe next week we can get some more sports talk or something. Padres look like they're doing all right.
Yeah, they're
Not
doing
terrible.
okay. They're just
Not
above.
bad.
They're just above 500. We're still figuring out who we are. A lot of baseball left to play. It's a long summer.
It'll be all right. It is looking like Shohei is probably going to go to the Dodgers from everything I'm hearing. They're going to use the Padres to drive the price up, but it sounds like Dodgers is his preferred destination. What ESPN was reporting.
Good. Drive it up. Give him 600 million. We'll still beat him. Dude, listen.
I mean, would
the
you want
Dodgers? Of course. Yes, of course. But here's the thing, and this is true for the Padres. The Padres haven't won anything, but the Dodgers, all they have is 2020. That's all they have, and they've made all these moves, and they've not done anything.
True.
So, and maybe I'm just being salty, and it's probably true, but 2020 that's Mickey Mouse, man. Show me a full season, win it all.
Go Lakers.
Yeah, there you go. All right. If you would like to find us on social medias, you can do so by looking us up on Twitter at Friendship NH, on Instagram and TikTok, same handle, Friendship News Hour. And you can send us an email, bummerdude.media@gmail.com, bummerdude.media@gmail.com. We'll see you next time. Peace to the Middle East.